What's up guys, and welcome to another video here on Abster TCG. Today we are going to do a little bit of a different video. I'm going to kick off a new series, you can call it. It's not that fancy, but like a new type of video. I will call it State of the Meta. And in these videos I will just look over the results from the regionals during the weekends, from the stats from OP11. Just giving my own thoughts on how the format is looking and what is going up and what is trending down, you could say. So with all that said, let's just get into it. So first of all, we have the first OP11 European regional in Gamers World in Dublin. I think there were like 256 players capped, so it was a little bit of a smaller tournament than a lot of other European regionals usually are, like up to 1,000 people. So we actually for this regional don't have the entries, like how many decks of each color entered and which leader, but we can see here for the top cut. So for the top 16 leaders, we are having 6 GP Luffy, we are having 3 UP Luffy, 2 of the green yellow law, 1 Calgara, 1 Bellobetti, 1 Smoker, 1 Buggy, and 1 Marshall D Teach. So it's almost as expected, I think, going into the format. The only deck lacking in this tournament is purple black, in my opinion. Otherwise we have Bellobetti, we have a Calgara, which is really spicy, we have a Smoker, which is actually looking kind of good into the format. We have a Buggy. To me that's a little bit surprisingly. I'm going to talk about it later when we look at the list. Then we also have a Teach, and I think this is, to me, even though I played a lot of Blackbeard, is really surprising, and we're also going to come to that later. So if we look at this, we have the winner on Bellobetti here, Aman. So if we take a look at the list here, I'm not a Bellobetti expert, so I can't say almost anything about it, I guess, but it looks kind of standard to what Bellos usually run. I think the difference here is that we are not running any outs to the promo Buggy or any Zeus, which I've seen trending up a little bit in the Bello list lately. But we are running the 3 stage, we are running the 3 hormone. I am a big fan of stage, as you know, play Blackbeard, Hachinosa, it's essentially the same, so I love the consistency for it. So I think this is probably standard Bello. You can roast me down below if you're a Bello player, but yeah. And then if we take a look at the UP list here, we are actually running the Carrots here, which is actually an interesting tech. And if you look at the rest of the list, we're actually also seeing a Mihawk here and Sanji, which is not that common. I think Mihawk is a card that are trending up in this deck because it can bot deck anything in the black-purple matchup. As you maybe know, black-purple has a really favorite matchup into UP, because UP with Lin doesn't really have a way to touch the 7 costs that like every card becomes because of leader, so that's why they have started to run the Mihawk. I have also seen the 3 cost Luffy in more lists. I'm not sure why, because I haven't played this deck that much, but that's just like kind of how the deck is trending. Then we're going to look at Rafael Neven's Smoker here. Smoker in OP11 getting the buff of Kuyaki, which is a great card. Look at top 5 and just pick a Navy card, and that's probably like exactly what this deck needs, because it's kind of reliant on seeing the Smoker most likely, or like preferably on curve, but like the deck is built around it to be able to like take the mid game and then push yourself into the late game where you drop Hodis and kids. And also we are seeing triple honest impact and X-Drake 2x2 from the new OP11 set. I think honest impact is a decent card. It decreases something with 4 and pops something that costs 6 or less. So if your opponent, for example, has like a body tapped and a standing body, you can decrease the rested body and pop the body if it's like 6k or below, which a lot of bodies are, or you can just pop a big thing with it. And we're also seeing 2 dragon here, which I haven't seen that much in Smoker lately, so it might be a good tech for the format. And then we can take a look at the GP list here. It looks kind of standard. We are running like all the events. We're running 3 Luna. I have seen people cut Luna now for OP11, but it might get back into the menu with GP and black purple trending upwards. And then for the spicy tech, we are also playing one of the shoppers who can go Don -2 and Resta 1 cost or less, or a Don. So I guess you have it for like the Luffy mirrors to like try to catch your point of guard, because people are not expecting you to play this in GP. Now, a little bit of a problem with this card is that if you search it, for example, as a one-off, your opponent is going to be aware of that you play it, so they can sculpt your place around it. But I think if you hard draw this card, and you have some ways to draw in this deck with the Sunny Pudding, with the Going Merry, in that case this card becomes really dangerous because your opponent won't have the info of it. We're seeing no Gamma Knives too, which I've seen trending upwards too, but yeah, this list looks fairly standard for being a GP Luffy list. And now we're coming to the spice of the tournament. The Calgara. I talked to some people who play this deck a lot, and they essentially call it yellow whitebeard. You go down to 0 life, you just take everything and you just try to like flood the board as soon as possible and aggro down your opponent, and like putting up for example the Raki here, and whitebeard puts up for example the Shura. Or not the Shura, the Tony Shopper, I meant, the 1 cost. And we're also playing 4 of the Sun here to have even more defense while we go down to 0, maybe 1 life or 2 life. We can also heal with Nolan if we hit 0, and we also have these 2 defensive events to keep up once we are in the late game. So it's really hard for opponent to swing when we have this large hand of maybe 9 to 10 cards and 2 don't open and a full board swinging. So I think this deck actually is underrated, but I don't know if we will see that much more of Calgara this format. And then for the next deck we have a Martial D Teach, which I'm going to say I was not expecting it to do well, because it has a lacking matchup into almost all the Luffy decks and Buggy, which are some of the most represented decks in the format. I saw on Twitter that Wojtek here shouted out Anielo Bruskelos because it's his list, and yeah, it's a little bit different to what I was going to expect the deck to be. Running 4 dock queues, I don't think it's a secret I'm not too fond of this card, but I think now when you are going more towards the KO like aspect of the deck and less on the Burgess turbo, you are probably going to run at least 3 or 4 copies of it, I guess. And then we're also playing the Tempest Kick, which synergizes really well together with the 7 cost each, but also the dock queue. So we have additional support for dock queue to be able to clear bigger things too. For example, together with the Aggro, we can get rid of every 7 cost in the game. Yeah. So this was it for the Dublin regional. So now we're going to go to the versus games, Oviedo regional here. And here we actually have a leader breakdown, which is really nice. So we have 111 of the UP Luffys, we have 70 of the GP, 58 Buggies, 56 of the Purple Black Luffy, and then every other leader you see here are 30 and below. So I think the notable thing when you look at this pie chart is that Purple Black Luffy and Green Purple Luffy overperformed, like they converted more than the entries. So I think this is like 25% together, and they took more than like 60% of the top cut, which shows that okay, these decks are probably really strong. And yeah, I wonder why like almost 70% of the top cut in these events are purple Straw Hat leaders. Someone tell me in the comment section down below why that is. But yeah, Purple Black doing really well in this tournament, which is kind of expected because it has a really great matchup into the UP Luffy, which was a big part of the field. And I also think that you have tools to beat like almost every other matchup. I think your hardest matchup as Purple Black, at least when I was testing it some, is that you struggle slightly into GP, because GP can just flood out the board fast and can swing a lot of 7s kinda easily. So being a 7k leader is not that big of an advantage compared to other decks, but also once you tap your Bear Luffy, they are going to be able to go for barrage of attacks into it, and you're not going to have the cards to keep up and protect it. And if you decide to do that, you have 2 little cards in hand. But we're going to look at the list. So the first list here, we actually have a friend of mine, friend of the channel, Base God, A Krasnic here, who actually won the tournament. So I just want to say congratulations, brother. Well deserved, well done. Yeah, this is base god. I've done video with Duffy from him before, and teach video against Duffy with him before, and also I've done like teach theory and testing and talked a lot with him. So I'm really happy to see him doing well, and he actually played a little bit of a spicy list. We are seeing that some of the GPs now opting to play more of the shoppers. What I've heard is because you can go more greedily with your Don minus, but also it's really good into UP because you get this small blocker who ramps you a Don, and getting up with the Dons is really good into that matchup, so we can use the Dons to fill the board but also pressure with swings. And we're also playing the 3 Frankie. I think this is getting more common now. I don't know really why. I mean, it's not a bad card, it's a great card, but it's probably also because of the UP matches. Someone has to tell me down below, because I haven't played that much GP. And the spicy thing, and I know Base God told it a lot, that he's not the biggest fan of the 6 cost Secret Luffy. I didn't get into detail why he didn't like it, but he said like he felt like it wasn't needed. But in this list now he's playing one of the Rush Luffy and one of the Bear Luffy. I think the Bear Luffy is a decent card, maybe as a one-off in this deck, as you can get to it late game and make your leader like a 8k base power leader while you have these like 8 or 9 cards in hand and keeping like one Don up, and it's really hard to swing into and just close out the game from there. We're also seeing 2 Gamma Knives in this list. As a law player right now, I would say cut this card to 0, throw every copy out, so you essentially own negatives, you can short them. On the stock market, you know. No, but I think Gamma Knife is a great card for this format, and I heard a lot of good things about it, and people even wanting to bump it up to 3, which scares the shit out of me if I'm going to play law, because your win con into GP and purple black is to set up the kid, or else you're just going to get overwhelmed. But this was Base God's list, and then for the second place we have the first purple black Luffy of the video. So if we look at the deck list, I saw this version. This is more of a ramp heavy based version. I've seen 2 versions, either you go more tempo or you go for the more of the late game, and we are seeing this list opting to go more for the late game, playing the Onamis, playing the Frankies, playing 3 of the 8 cost Katakuri, which is a broken card, so I'm not surprised it fits into this deck if you're playing this more slow version. And we're also playing 3 of the big Rush Luffy, so we're going a little bit more heavy on the late game, a little bit less on like tempoing early game, but also have like defensive tools in Frankie Onami together with being a 7k leader is really good. So now we're going to check at the UP list that also topped, if it's any different to the one we saw. So yeah, we can see directly that it's a little bit different, because it opts to play the Dovefish and the Nami blockers. It's interesting. I haven't like tried that much of this deck yet, but I imagine is to try to hit your like Sani into big drop on curve, which is really great. And I think like when playing green yellow, the only way you really lose this deck if they go Sani into like a Lindy, and then from there you essentially can't do it. So playing Dovefish and Nami's early game helps you to see more cards and fix your hand, and you just need to see like one Lin and one Sanji. If you have Nami, for example, they can just put 2 cards on top with the Lin on the bottom, and then you can like keep stacking it down, or you can play the Sunny directly and play it. We're also playing the Fandibagua, which I also see trending upwards. It's a good defensive event with a ramp trigger. To actually play like 6 ramp triggers in this deck, which is really great, because I think if you're going first, you need 3 ramp to resolve leader on turn 3, and you need 2 ramp to do it when going second. So it's really great to have different ways to ramp. And the format being a little bit more aggressive now, you can say more tempo based, I think Fandibagua fits into this deck great. So you take the first life, then you can just defend it and get the ramp of it, instead of like playing a gear 2, you are defensive instead. Yeah, so we have checked. We can check a couple more purple blacks, because I think there's like some different things. And keep in mind that we in the West, we are the first ones who will get to play with these new cards and get to play with this deck, because purple black before wasn't really a deck. You could play like this Moria version, but now like we have all these new tools and this became a deck. So I would say like all of these lists are brand new, so we're getting to see different theory from different people, and I think this deck is far from solved. So if we take like the format in a month and a half, I think the deck will kind of have the same spirit, but the list will probably look a little bit different because, as we know, we have new cards. The format will evolve. So in this list, the difference is we are playing 4 of the Robin. I'm a huge fan of this card because I think it's just broken. It's a blocker who essentially searches your card. What more can you ask for? I like it a lot more than the Frankie. Because this also doesn't like have to go -2 to use the effect. So for example, if you resolve your Bear Luffy and want to play the Frankie after, you're actually going -2 down. It matters if you are below 10. And when I've been playing this deck, I haven't been going up to 10 that much because I like to play the tempo version more. We're also seeing the purple blocker law, which I'm a really big fan of, because this format, a lot of the decks accumulates a lot of cards in the hand, and like the goal is to probably attack resources more than to like attack being aggro for game or anything like that. So once someone guesses out, that's when you can like push for game, because there's so many defensive cards in for example Giant this format. So a lot is just about like winning the resource game, and I think this is a great card to do that. We're also seeing 4/4 of the 6-cost Luffys. I think these 2 are the best cards in your deck, and you should play 4 of them. We're also seeing 4 of the Sanji and 2 of the big Luffy. Yeah, I'm more a fan of this list. We're also playing 2 of the Gamma Knife, which I think is good, but you should not play it because I'm playing Law, and I want to have a good matchup into you, we could say. We also have GCM here on the Whitebeard. This is like a Giga Chad, the one left, who's still playing Whitebeard. Take a look at the list. So I think this is more of like a standard Whitebeard list I've seen lately. We're playing the Shiraya, the Chopper, the other Choppers. We're playing like a lot of blockers. We're playing the Iso because it gives a Don to leader, and it has a great effect because you can turn any brick in your hand that you play quite some into a 2k, or you can turn a 1k to a 2k, which is really great for a leader that goes down to 0 fast. But for the new cards, we are actually playing 2 of the Frankie. I think this card actually is insane for red aggro decks, especially this format, because if you push your like Luffy opponent enough and you get to late game, you just drop the Frankie with the full board. They can't really Giant, because if they Giant, they're going to pump your whole board with 2k, so the Giant actually ends up becoming negative. So they can't Giant when you have this on board, and they can swing with everything and kill your opponent. I actually think that this deck might be great for this format, because you're also playing the Mulligan, which is really good into the purple, black, and green purple Luffy, and I guess you probably should have a decent enough matchup into UP, because you're kind of a fast deck, and also Frankie gets a lot of value in that matchup because they also play a lot of defensive events. So I'm a big fan of this list. Shout out to this Whitebeard Chad. And then we can take a look at a Buggy list here. I think this might be the first Buggy list of today. So I think this is more of a standard Buggy list that I've seen the decks evolving to. I guess Pudding is like the more one of the spicier cards here that I haven't seen that much. I think Pudding is great for this format. As I said, there's a lot of deck that accumulates a lot of resources in hand. Just playing Pudding on like 8 or 9 cards is super valuable, especially like Buggy, who like on 9 don can play the Pudding and also shit out a body like the Crocohawk, or Cock as I heard people call it, or a Crocodile or a Promo Buggy, just to overwhelm the board. So I actually think this deck is okay. I'm not the biggest fan of it because I feel like it's a little bit one-dimensional and like excels as one thing and are not the best at other things. But one card which I'm a really big fan of, I've seen popping up now, is Sables. So essentially what it does is return up to 1 character with 7 cost or less to its owner's hand for 4 don, but it also have the trigger to bounce to hand. And as you all know, CEO of iBid, you could say, I think this takes the slot perfectly as iBid, because playing Buggy, you discard so many cards with Leader, with Crocohawk or Cock, with Mihawk, with Alvida, so you don't really care if you draw this card because you can just throw it away. And resolving this trigger on Sables is like a free win into a lot of matchup, because you're just like clawing back the tempo. Like bouncing a 7-drop is insane, and it also touches all the purple black Luffy stuff because they become 7 cost with the leader effect. So I would probably run 4 of this card in this deck because I think it's insane. It's like bid, but you could argue that's a little bit better because it bounces to hand and gets 1 more reach, and also has a effect you can use by just playing it to bounce something. So I think if you're playing Buggy, I really would like to play 4 of this. Yeah, so we're gonna look if there's anything more I want to see here. I guess we could take a look at the radio list there. I think radio is a decent deck for this format, coming with the new OP11 support. I feel like this is more of a standard radio list. We're playing one of the new blue EDG, one of the Niji. So, oh, we are not playing the bounce Niji, that's interesting. But we are playing like blue, red and purple, or pink, you could say. So when we are playing 3 of the smaller suits, or what you call them, you are also unlocking to play the Judge. So we are seeing 2 Judges in this list. So I guess this list just wants to like do the ragey things, but have this like additional late game threat against more of the slower decks, just to like keep them out of the game. So I think Rage is a great deck for this format, but you have to be a skilled pilot to play it too, of course, because it's like this archetype deck, I would say, at least. Oh, misclick. And then we have Yamato here. This is also a like newer deck, we could say. And we are playing like essentially just we could call this like the burn Yamato. Here we are playing 4 of each Buggy Vanish card. We are playing 3 of the Toniyasu. We are playing 3 of the Heal Momo, interesting. We are playing 3 of the Ashura Doji. We are playing 3 of the new Momonosuke, and we are playing some of the aggressive events. So I think the interesting thing with this deck is that it can have 2 modes. You can go for this more reserved game plan where you just try to swing small with your leader, make your opponent pitch cards, and then later on you can hit them with these big banish swings and just win by the resources, or you can just opt to go for this like full face smork version. And also with Ashura Doji, your opponent like get punished if they don't take your hits, like your small hits. And yeah, I think this list is cool. I think it's a little bit fragile, like as I said, a little bit one-dimensional, but it did well this event, going 7-2. So I think Yamato is probably like a good locals deck, but I'm not going to see this like convert more than maybe 1-2 in the bigger tournaments. So now with the lists done, we're gonna hop into the sim. This is my domain, as you could say. So this is the first week of TCG matchmaking OP Bounty. So if we look at the win rates here, we can see that the black purple Luffy, green purple Luffy, the purple Luffy stands out the most, having like more of the games and having a win rate above 53%, purple Luffy being at 56%. It's probably kind of expected, because this format is the councils of Luffy's. Yeah, and the only like surprising thing is that UP is not up there, but I think UP actually struggles a little bit into the other 3 Luffy decks, and that's why the win rate are a little bit lower. Yeah, and then if you look here, we have Buggy converting horribly, has like the second most games but only a 48% win rate, and I don't think Buggy is that difficult of a deck to play, so you could expect these win rates with decks like Law, with green, yellow, oh no, what is it called? Yellow, black Luffy. BY Luffy, I don't know why I blanked out on that. I haven't seen that deck in so long. BY Luffy, Law, for example, Teach, can add those more difficult decks that you have to put a lot of time into to understand. I guess GP is a hard deck to play and has 53% win rate, just shows how strong this deck is. But yeah, the Council Luffys are great. Looking more at the win rate at 46% win rate for Teach. Next slide I will talk about Teach. I got a lot of questions why I don't play it anymore, why I haven't made a list, and I think the biggest reason is going to be apparent soon. We have Bonnie at 53% win rate. We have Belvetto 51%. I think Bello is a decent deck. I would call it a little bit overrated, because I think if you really know how to play into it, then it's not as good. It's kind of like NL, where it's not a bad deck at all, that I'm not saying, but it's a little bit of a skill check that you have to play around it and how you want to like defend and eat other things. We have Green Yellow Law at a 46% win rate on 1000 games, and to be honest, that's what I expect, because Green Yellow Law is not a deck where you just can pick up and then play games and convert it to a good win rate, because you have to learn, first of all, how you want to build up the early game. You have to learn how you want to swing. You have to learn, there's a lot of things to learn about the deck, but once you get them, then of course your win rate are going to go up. So I think sim stats are not set in stone, but you can see kind of where the format is trending. Then we also have a Zoro at 50% win rate. So now we can look a little bit of the matchup charts here, and I think, to my eyes at least, that the best deck in the format is of course the green and purple Luffy. So you essentially have like good matchup into most of the relevant decks this format, and your bad matchups are like 46%, 45% on Law, 40% on Bellow, and I think all of these matchups that you have a bad matchup into actually are closer to 50-50 than what it shows here. So I think that green purple is the best deck of this format. I don't think you can argue about it. It's great. And now we take a look at Teach here. This saddens me to see, but we have green purple, blue purple, Buggy, purple black. Those four decks are probably the most played this format, and as you can see, Teach has a negative win rate into all of them. And if you look at the UP and the green purple, it's not just negative, it's really bad. Like having 30 something win rate is really bad. So I think that Teach has a really big problem this format, queuing into the Council of Luffy's, because we have a bad matchup into purple Luffy too, but also into Buggy. So going into event with Teach and you have like these bad matchups, like that's the reason why I haven't touched Teach, because Teach is like a format dependent deck. So if you're great into the format, your deck is great, but if your deck can't do the things it wants, or like block your opponent that good, then the deck is not going to feel so good. So sadly Teach is on the bench right now, but as Teach is like a you could say a game breaking deck because you can turn off own plays, I think we will see more of it in the future, maybe with support or while the format shift to other decks. When we look at the UP Luffy, I think this was the deck people were expecting being really great for the format going in. I'm gonna say it now, you can roast me, but I think this deck is overrated. I saw it converted super good in the East, but in the West here it has converted horribly. I think only 1 out of like 111 made it in Orlando, and I don't only think it's because like we have figured something else out. It's also because purple black is a deck, and purple black, as we can look at the win rates, just eats the blue purple. But blue purple statistically have a good matchup into GP, into Teach, into Shanks, into Bond, and into Yamato. And like winning against like Teach, Shanks, Bonnie, Yamato doesn't really matter in this format. I guess you have a positive win rate to GP by like 53%, but I think this is closer to a 50-50 if the GP player knows what he's doing in the matchup and like the deck is built accordingly. So UP has like some good matchups, some bad matchups, so yeah, it's kind of expected it's at 50%, and it's a deck that you don't really have the biggest agency in the games you play. You can show skill expression in an interesting way because the deck is all about setting up, and you want to hit your ramp, yada yada yada, and then you want to play the late game from there. So it's a little bit complicated, but it's like not close to as like hard to pilot as GP Luffy, for example. And GP Luffy having these great win rates just shows that the deck is just a powerhouse, to be honest. And then if you look at Buggy here, I think this deck was really hyped getting into the format. I was never a big fan of it, to be honest, because I think it's, as I said, one-dimensional. It loses into a certain type of deck, it wins against a certain type of deck, and those kind of decks tend to always be like you have to get a good bracket to be able to do well in bigger events. So we see here it really struggles into GP, which probably is the best deck in the format, but it has a good matchup into Teach, into UP, and into Shanks, into Bellobetti, into Yamato, and Zoro. So when I look at the win rate statistics, I like to look at like these 5 leaders plus purple Luffy and maybe Law and maybe Bello, because Shanks is not going to be that played. Bonnie, I think Bonnie is an underdog in this format, but I don't think it's going to be that played either. Same with Yamato and Zoro. And if you look at it, it really only has a good matchup into Teach and UP, and Teach is probably not going to be that played because of bad conversions lately, and you lose to the purple black, the green purple, which are like the decks that are trending up right now. So going into event with a bad matchup against like the two most popular decks, or like 2 out of 3. That's not that great as deck for the format, but with more support, if the format lines up for it, it could of course become a better deck. And then we have Purple Black Luffy, which probably is the biggest winner from the starter decks, and probably the like deck that is trending the best right now. Has a negative matchup into GP. This was also, I tested it some before the format, like the starters came out, and I felt like the GP matchup was so bad if you played against a competent GP pilot. So like I tried a lot of different versions, and it never felt good, so that's why I dropped it. But it has a good matchup into Teach, into UP, into Buggy, and then yeah, we have like a slightly bad matchup into these like less played decks. We have a good matchup into Green Yellow Law. We have a bad matchup into Purple Luffy. And then we beat Yamato and Soros. I think we overall have like a great matchup spread. A lot of these matchups are not auto losses. Like I guess Bonnie is rough, but Bonnie is not going to be that played. And we have like a 41% into Shanks and Bello are not going to be that played either. And same with Purple Luffy. So I have a good matchup against more of the play decks. So I think this is a great pick for this format. I think the list is far from solved. I think, like as I said, in 2 months the deck will look a little bit different and probably like trend even more upwards. Then we have Shanks. I'm not really going to talk about Shanks. We see 4 red in the beginning here. To me it disqualifies the deck. No, but I think Shanks is just lacking in power. What Shanks want to do doesn't really fly in the format anymore. I'm really surprised on a 70% win rate against Green Yellow Law, because I've been having think slight positive into it. But as I said, Green Yellow Law is a little bit more of a complicated deck, and if you set up against Shanks in the correct way, like playing with beige, etc., then the win rate is going to be much higher. Then we have Bello Betty here, having like, I would say like a big problem going into event, because you have like a good matchup into a certain type of decks, like the 3 Luffys, which is great because those 3 are the most played decks on paper. You like, if you can queue them all the time, you're going to have a bracket, like free bracket. But we have a like atrocious matchup into Buggy, into Teach. I guess Teach you can't argue. Into Bonnie. I guess I'm a little bit wrong with this. Like I think Bello's spread here looks all right actually. Because it beats like the Luffy leaders. It has a bad match with the Teach and Buggy. Yeah, no, I think Bello is probably like also a solid spot. And then we see 80% win rate here against Green Yellow Law. This is to me really fake. I've been having closing in on this matchup a lot. If you played right as the Green Yellow Law, I think this matchup is a lot better than 80% favored to Bello Betty. Yeah, so also why I give a lot of Green Yellow Law right now is because this is the deck I play right now, so I'm most opinionated on it. So if I'm wrong about any of these opinions, feel free to roast me down below, but take everything with a grain of salt, of course. And then we look at Bonnie here. We have a bad matchup into 2 of the Luffy decks. We beat 1, so that's alright. We beat Buggy, we beat Purple Black, and then we beat these like more fringe leaders that you're not going to see a lot of. So I think I heard Bonnie is a great deck, and I think it's easier than people give it, or harder than people give it credit for, because you have to know technically how to play the deck, and I think the Bonnie players who play the deck really long will have success this format, and I think those who picks it up right now are the ones who screws a little bit with win rate. Or maybe this is just Bonnie one tricks, I don't know, but that is my feeling, that Bonnie should be better than the stats say. And then we have my favorite deck for this format, probably not the best deck, but the deck I've been playing and enjoying a lot. It's the Green and Yellow Law. So according to stats here, we have a great matchup into Green, Purple and UP, so we beat 2 of the 3 Luffys, and we also beat the Purple Luffy, so we have a good matchup into 3 of the 4 of the councils of Luffy. We have a atrocious matchup into Teach. I'm not going to argue against that. Teach is like almost a auto loss, because he just turns off our deck. We can't really do anything and just going to like clear the board, so we're not going to be able to play. But as I said, I think Teach is not going to be that played or as played in the bigger event, which means that this is not as big of an issue as it looks like. We have a good matchup into UP. I think UP should be even better than this. We have a good matchup into Buggy. I think this should even be better, because I haven't lost a game to Buggy yet as green-yellow, I think. We have a bad matchup into purple-black. I think the purple-black matchup is the one that makes or breaks this deck. If someone, nah, just kidding, figures out a way to beat purple-black, I think green-yellow really rises in the chains of this. And the problem is that the win con you have into purple-black and green-purple is to set up a use as Captain Kid. If you can like keep up a little bit with the tempo, which Law can do, I think you out-tempo purple-black. You can keep up with green-purple and then set up a kid that can't be threatened by Gamma Knife. I think you win the game on the spot from there. If they haven't like opened two nuts. But if they see a Gamma Knife and get rid of the kid, then the matchup is really hard. So I think going in with green-yellow Law for at least for this weekend for me in Amsterdam, I'm probably going to bump kid up to 2 and just try to play more of a like fortress version into green-purple and black-purple, and just hope I don't get dogged by Gamma Knife, we could say. And then we look at here to like 29% win rate into Shanks, into like all of these to me is fake, because I've been like having like positive win rate I think into Shanks, into Bello it's more of a 50-50 to me at least, maybe I'm coping now. Same Bonnie is not as rough as this looks like. Purple Luffy is a great matchup, of course. I think Yamato and Zoro are also winnable, so I feel like Law is this kind of deck where I think it's better than the stat looks like, and I think if you play it 200% and solve the GP and the black-purple matchup, I think it could be best deck in format. But how the format has evolved with GP and purple-black trending upwards, I think that's a little bit of a issue for Law. But I think the deck still can do good in the right hands. And then we have purple Luffy here having like a bad matchup into green purple, but a good matchup into Teach, into UP, into Buggy and purple black. Have like a lackluster matchup into the less play decks, and then we beat like some more of the less play decks. So I think purple Luffy actually has great conversion rate. If you look at the win rate here, 55% according to this. But also we have a good matchup spread into some of the most played decks. So yes, if we can like solve the GP matchup better, I think this deck also is a great pick for a tournament. And 46 or like 47% win rate is not that bad. That means that you probably winning like 4.7 out of 10 games. So it's not like that bad. So I think purple Luffy actually is a great deck, and I think people may not want to touch it because it's purple Luffy and it's been like played for so long, and these newer decks are more interesting and more explored. But it would not surprise me if purple Luffy ends up like trending upwards in the format down the line. And then we have Yamato, it doesn't look that good. And then we have Zoro, who actually looks really good, but this is only on like 800 games, 53% win rate. We have a great matchup into like almost every deck except purple Luffy and auto loss into Buggy. So I guess Zoro may be a good pick for this format too. And as you said, this is like the first week of the format, so we are going to see different trends. We in the West are the first one playing with these 30 new cards from the starter decks, so I would not surprise if like things go up and down a little bit in the beginning. And I think Zoro is a deck that could really take off, because I feel like every format it starts with no one playing Zoro, and then like it's going to be played a lot more. And if you look at the win rates here, it can beat everything. Apparently. So yeah, this was it for this video. Me japping. Thank you for watching. 8% gang, long time since I said that. No, but if you would like to see more of these videos, please comment down below. Yeah, comment down below, write pancake down below. No, people are going to get so confused, and it was so funny. No, but I am going to try to make one of these once a week while we get the reports from the sim, tournament result, etc. I will give my take on the opinion. And as I said, all my opinions are not right, it's just how I feel. I play a lot of the game on the sim right now, play like some webcam and etc. and going to a lot of bigger events now. Yeah, thanks for watching. Follow, like, subscribe, Twitch Prime, affiliate link, merch. Clean my toilet. I don't know. See you next one.